What's your favorite scary movie?
Be like, I'm dying.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they guys," I'm like, "It's over and done. We're married now."
Someone in the movie, so I'm like, kiss. But
Oh God, what a sea of humanity.
Hey, welcome in everybody to 52/1994, your live movie conversation podcast where we dive deep into the movies of 1994. I'm your host, Cody, and I'm thrilled to be joined this week by my fantastic co-host, Alyssa. Welcome, Alyssa.
welcome, thank you.
For those tuning in for the first time, we're so glad that you're here. Every week, 52 of them to be exact, we explore a different film from 1994, whether it's a classic hit or a quirky gem or a terrible movie. We'll dive into this year's important releases, discuss them in detail, and chat with a special guest about their thoughts and experiences with that movie. Today's movie of choice is The Little Rascals. Now, before we jump into this week's movie, let's welcome Alyssa. Thank you for joining us again. Have you seen the movie that we will be discussing, The Little Rascals?
Yes, actually, this is the first 52 movie that I've been on the pod for that I've actually seen before. This wasn't a first time watch for me.
That's a rare, yeah, that's very, very rare. I think you told me that you have it on DVD. You might have it on DVD. It might be hiding somewhere, right?
Yes, it might be at my parents' house. It is not in this apartment. I did have it on DVD at some point.
And when do you? Okay, so you own it on DVD. You owned it on DVD. You owned it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the first time, maybe like the first time you watched this movie, or maybe your experiences with this movie. Like, how much did you watch it? Do you quote it in real life? Like, tell me anything.
I feel like I very like faintly remember seeing it as a kid. I feel like it was one of those like VHS rentals. It was a safe VHS rental. Like it's very like I was very limited in my movie viewing as a child, and if it wasn't a kids movie, I wasn't watching it. So I definitely got it rented at some point, and then I maybe only seen it like once or twice as a kid, but then I in college spent a lot of time in the $5 bin at Walmart for DVDs, and I think I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's $5. Like I remember this movie, and then I owned it, and I was like, this movie's hilarious, and it has been a while since I've seen it. But it's so easy to quote the whole thing. Like I did not realize how much of the movie like plays in my head occasionally.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny and so quotable and it's just very cute. It's a wholesome, cute movie. And I enjoy it very much.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I didn't see this movie in theaters or anything. I definitely a VHS rental that, or just my family would buy VHSs, when new movies came out. And this is definitely one of those ones that I watched over and over as a kid and have quoted over and over into my adulthood. And so much so that I didn't even know some of the things that I was quoting were from this movie. I've quoted a couple things that upon rewatch that I was like, oh, that's from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get this from. I had no idea. So a very similar experience. I did not own this on DVD or anything, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I know I had it on VHS, but I really did. I loved this movie, and I don't want to give away that spoiler, but it's just, yeah, it's wholesome. It's so enjoyable and cute and short, and it's only an hour and 22 minutes. It's pretty, yeah,
Quick.
it's quick, and it never ever feels like a slog to sit through.
Mm-mm.
Like it almost feels like we're seeing like different sketches
Yeah.
from different sketches, and it actually ties together quite nicely. A very simple story. We're not getting really in depth here, but it was just really enjoyable, and I think that's a credit to the people that made this film. And to the cast as well. They're a great, fun children's cast, and we can talk about it here.
I have a question.
I got
So
an answer.
this month's theme is As Seen on TV, right?
That's right.
So I'm assuming The Little Rascals was a television show.
So yeah, it started out as like in the 30s. So just when there was even silent films of the Little Rascals. It wasn't called the Little Rascals then. They were called Our Gang, and they were short films that would show before big movies. So yeah, short films, little essentially TV shows. They did show up on TV. I mean, Our Gang lasted from the 30s into, I want to say, the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So different casts. I was reading up on some of this. There were different casts. There were over, I want to say there were over like 30 or 40 different Little Rascals characters. And when they were planning this movie, they were like, we're only going to concentrate on like the basic 12.
Mm-hmm.
12 ones uh that really signify the Little Rascals or the Our Gang, that people really loved and resonated with. So they chose the ones that we see on screen today. So yeah, it was short film, started as short films and then moved on to like television, would air on television every once in a while. So
Okay, because that's all the experience I have with this movie. When I found out it was a 1994 movie, I was actually really surprised. I thought it was way older than that, and it might just be because it's set in, like, it appears to be some kind of like Leave It to Beaver era. I don't feel like this movie is set in 1994.
it feels like everybody is in 1994 except for our main characters,
Yeah.
to me, because like the hairstyles and some of the stuff that is in this, even the go-kart racing and things like that, feel very of the 90s to me. But yes, every outfit that the Little Rascals put on is very, it's like 30s 40s kids outfits. We've got a bald child walking around. um, yeah, everything just kind of feels 30s 40s era, but Leave It to Beaver era too. Like, this seems like a town where it's like Pleasantville almost. I know you don't
Mhm.
know that movie, but yeah, like a black and white era town of the 50s. It is
Mhm.
very wholesome like that. So yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up as we're talking about this movie and getting into this movie and kind of learning about this movie. That's where it comes from, and that's why we're doing it in this month. So let's actually break it down. Let's talk about what the Little Rascals is and who was involved. So, of course, it's called the Little Rascals. It came out on August 5th, 1994. Your boy just turned 7 years old. This was directed by Penelope Spheris, who is probably most famous for working on rock documentaries that were called The Decline of Western Civilization. It was a 3-part documentary series. Those are probably her most well known. Her second, probably most well known, maybe even first, depending on who you're talking to, is Wayne's World. That's she kind of blew it out of the water with Wayne's World, and did the sequels, of course. But she's done a lot more in her career than just those two things. She's went on to direct many movies, like including another one that was like this called The Beverly Hillbillies, a comedy remake of a television show, and we actually didn't do that last year in 5293. But yeah, she's went on to direct several other things, but most notably the rock and roll documentaries were her big thing. This was written by Paul Guay, Stephen Mazer, and Penelope Spheris. The cast includes a bunch of people that did not go on to do much after all this. So you recognize a lot of them. Some of them were commercial kids, or some of them did go on to do a couple other kids movies, but I'll go through that list now. Travis Tedford is Spanky McFarland. Bug Hall is Alpha Alpha Switzer. Brittany Ashton Holmes as Darla, Kevin Jamal Woods as Stymie, Jordan Warcall as Froggy, but the voice was dubbed by E.G. Daly, also the voice of Tommy Pickles, for those people that didn't know. Zachary Mabry as Porky, Ross Bagley as Buckwheat, Sam Saletta as Butch, Blake Jeremy Collins as Woim, Blake McIver, Ewing as Waldo Johnston III, and Cortland Mead as I'm sure there were some missed in there. Now, there were a lot of cameos in these celebrity cameos in this film, and I'm going to walk through those too. We got Raven Simone at the end of this movie as Stymie's girlfriend. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen as the twin girls at Darla's sleepover are here. Mel Brooks is in here as the bank teller that would denied them their loan. Leah Thompson as Miss Roberts, the ballet instructor. Daryl Hannah was here as Miss Crabtree, who is actually is one of the characters from the original Our Gang shorts. Miss Crabtree was their teacher. Reba McEntire's in this movie as AJ Ferguson, the best driver around. Whoopi Goldberg is Buckwheat's mom. Donald Trump is in here as Waldo Johnston II, Waldo's father, and George Wendt is in here as the lumber store guy. And the synopsis of this movie is incorrect, but I'll read it anyway. Thank you, Google. I never read it until we get here. But mischievous gangsters Spanky and Buckwheat lead an anti-girl organization, and they pick their buddy Alpha Alpha to represent them in an all-important soapbox car rally. When the boys find their driver canoodling with schoolmate Darla, they decide they must break up the couple. Unfortunately, while Spanky and his pals are busy meddling in Alfalfa's affairs, their prized race car is nabbed by two young toughs.
Did they call those young children gangsters?
Did I read that?
Yes, that was like the first sentence.
Youngsters.
I thought you said gangsters. I was like, that could
Mischievous
not...
youngsters. But he said Buckwheat. Like Buckwheat was like a big character in this, and maybe Stymie. Stymie's like the vice president of the club. So
Getting the two black
Google's
children confused. Sounds
yeah, I was about to say it's very racist of Google. So. The budget for this movie was $18 million, and it got in a box office return of $67 million. So pretty good success.
Mhm.
This movie was hated by the critics. It has a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is actually lower than the Flintstones.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like... Okay, I'll allow you to read because I know you've got them. Because I'm like, why?
I'll give you a couple of them. IMDb and Letterboxd are a little bit higher in their ratings. That's because they come from people like us. IMDb sits at about a 6.3 out of 10, and Letterboxd has it at a 3.2 out of 5. So not terrible, not 21% by any means. Roger Ebert actually didn't review this one, but his partner in crime, Gene Siskel, did. He said it is a dismal kids' comedy in which all creativity stopped after casting lookalikes for the Old Rascals was completed. He gave it a 1 out of 4.
It's harsh.
Yeah. And then Robert Fairs of the Austin Chronicle gave it 3 out of 5 stars. He said, I won't claim this film's great, but it is fun and remarkably innocent and playful. I have more and more respect for director Spheris, not because she makes incredible movies, but because she takes the schlockiest of Tinseltown's ideas for films and finds ways to have fun with them. Way to go, Penelope. The kids are all right.
Okay.
The only real legacy of beyond this movie, didn't win any awards or anything like that. They did make a sequel, I guess, in 2014, a straight-to-DVD movie called The Little Rascals Save the Day. I have not seen that movie. Probably won't watch that movie. I'm a little past the age. So, now that we went through all that stuff, let's talk about The Little Rascals. And let's dive into the movie discussion where we start with what standout scenes that make this film memorable. And please feel free to play along in the chat. We're always missing things, or we want to know what you enjoy about this movie that maybe we don't talk about. So I'll start with you, Alyssa.
So my first scene is the first meeting of the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Great name, first of all. Great name, for very creative for a kids club. And you get you get to know all the characters. You start to get some names. You get the dog, and you know Stymie and everybody swear in like raise your right hand, your other right hand, and
I I do love that too. And I love that I can't remember which character it is. It might be Porky. Whenever he's doing the right hand thing, he's like your other right hand. He's still like sitting there confused about which hand to put up. No, I'm with you on that. I like that how we get everybody together too.
mm-hmm.
Before that. Because it introduces each one of our characters, especially for you and I have no idea who the Little Rascals are. Like in relation to the Our Gang series, we never watched those. Heck, our parents didn't even watch those. Like probably there's no way. So it's interesting that one they would make this a children's movie, but two like that we would enjoy it and fall attached to it as well as we did. And I think the introduction of each of these characters are really fun for us. So sorry, I don't mean to step on your toes there. So
that was basically it. It's cute, it's fun. We get the kids getting all round up, and they're like who's got news to share, and they're all saying the different ways that they've hated on girls this week, and it's very cute. And they're all so sweet and so smart. Like I am genuinely, and like, is it the world's best acting? Absolutely not. It is, but man, it is just, they're just cute. Everybody's just very cute.
And I like that one of the things that I did see was Penelope Spheres said like working with children was so hard. Like she worked really well with them. But she said the hardest part was working with the children because they just never knew their lines. They could never remember their line. They're children. They have no capacity for this brain of theirs, like in their to know all the lines that they're speaking. So, and especially the lines that they get, because you bring up this meeting where we have these children that are like having a full-on parliamentary procedure and being very like adult. That's probably my favorite part of this movie is all the like adult sentences that these children say. Like we've got some goofy lines in here from the kids and they're having fun and everything, but some of the lines that these kids say is just outstanding. Like you wouldn't hear you would hear just like a 50-year-old man saying these lines. It's really fun. Does He-Man hate women? I don't know.
Probably that one.
Probably. He's hooking up with She-Ra. Probably. I was never a He-Man guy. I don't know. No, okay. Sorry. Let's get back to the clubhouse and everything. Anything else from the scene that you wanted to point out that you really liked? Like,
no, I mean it does establish like the go-kart and where's Alfalfa, and Spanky's the one in charge, and everybody hates girls because they're 5, and there's a lot that happens in the. You get a lot of background information in like a matter of 5 minutes, and it's very precise. It's very good.
Who's your favorite in this scene?
In this scene,
yeah,
I think Stymie.
Yeah.
They're all hilarious. I do love that Froggy is like, I showed her my lizard.
Yes, that's kind of what I was like, Froggy's the best in the scene. And I whipped out my lizard.
They're like, yeah.
I love also when they're talking about Spanky, our president Spanky, and Spanky comes in like, thank you. Nice to meet you. Your fly's undone. Just like a little Southern gentleman, like governor coming in.
I love his accent. It is fantastic.
No, I love that Travis Tedford kid. He was in a couple other movies, but like I most I know him best from his Welch's commercials. he would drink Welch's grape juice and eat Welch's grape jelly. He was the Welch's kid, and he's adorable and southern, and the cheeks and everything. He looks the exact same now, unfortunately for him, but he's an adorable child. That kid should have done something,
Yeah.
and maybe he will. He might be our president someday. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, the statistics. I mean, we've got at least one president from that movie, so the
That's
statistics
true.
in his favor. I in that regard.
All right. Yeah. So, what was your next scene?
I had the candlelit lunch at the clubhouse.
Yeah, that was the first one that I had written down too. So
Yeah, it's we got Darla and Alfalfa, and the boys find out that Alfalfa is dating Darla, and they're like, he's a traitor, and so we gotta mess up this lunch, and we gotta like prank them, and they do all these little pranks, and he literally like it's candlelit, and Darla's just like taken away like a candlelit lunch, how romantical. Obviously the boys are not happy that Alfalfa took her to the clubhouse, so they're like trying to break down the door, and he tries to hide her in the closet, and in the midst of that puts the candle back still lit into the closet and burns the whole thing down. And it is the funniest. That's the scene that probably has stuck out the most in my head, like through the years. That's the one that always gets me, is them running with their little their hats and their little yellow slickers and the big hose, and it's so good.
I love the little assembly line when they're getting the water, and it gets to the end, and Froggy pours nothing on there. Petey pees on the fire at one point. No, I love all the pranks that they play on Darla and Alfalfa. That's one that I've quoted that doesn't make sense outside of this movie, where Porky says, "That's not sand, that's kitty litter." I say it all the time. A sandwich. No, I love that, and that's how I've always referenced how wine tastes, is because of this movie. And I'll stand on it. I love wine. I'll drink a lot of wine if you give it to me, but it does taste like it's been poured from a boot.
Actually, it's a sneaker.
You're such a good Froggy.
I love Froggy.
Froggy's the best. Just with those glasses and the mullet, and he's incredible. Yes. I bet Spencer was a Froggy when he was a child. I've seen pictures of Spencer. He was a Froggy. It's great. Fun fact. We'll put up pictures later so everybody can see in the Discord what Spencer looked like as a child.
Please do.
Okay, great. Now that I've got your permission, I will definitely do that. What's your next scene?
I go all the way to the ballet recital.
Same.
There's no plot points driven from the ballet recital. It is just pure chaos and fun, and I love it. I love every minute of it. I love that these two little boys have these massive curly wigs and are in a full ballet outfit. I also am watching it, and I'm like, there's always because I danced forever, and I'm like, there's always one kid. There's always that one kid who's in the corner just shaking because they don't remember the choreography, and they're just being an idiot. And there's always a Spanky, even if they were in classes the whole year. There's always a Spanky in a recital. And I loved it so much. The frog was silly. Darla talking about Alfalfa was silly. Like, all of it is just so silly.
I love the frog. The point of the frog is to make Alfalfa happy. They're just sitting out there on the steps, and he's just so unhappy that Spanky's just like, here's my frog. He's like, oh, this is the greatest thing. And that's the whole point of the frog, is just to make Alfalfa happy.
He's like, I'm bored. And he's like, here, yeah. My frog.
Also, I love that the what was that?
I'm like, have you been carrying that around this whole time?
He has. No, and also the Butch and Woim hitting on these two girls. It's wild.
Yes.
I've as a child, I've definitely said, "You got a burger to go with that shake?"
That was the first time I've heard that phrase, was this movie. And I was like,
Or
that's fun.
fries?
Got any fries to go with that
Yeah,
shake?
it's yeah. Wow. An adult thing coming from a child's mouth. It's just
There
crazy.
is a lot of, I mean, like they really threw in a lot of adult jokes that as a child did not recognize, but definitely you could see in like as now.
Yeah. I with there is a cameo in this scene with Leah Thompson, who's best known for being Marty McFly's mom in the Back to the Future series. After seeing this, because I loved or not Emma Thompson, I love Emma Thompson, but Leah Thompson, I love Leah Thompson. But after this movie, I was like, she's kind of a B. I don't like her. She's too straight laced for me. Is that
So
how ballet teachers are?
not my yeah, if you fuck up someone's recital, like my dance teacher's name was Linda. Linda would have been pulling those boys by the ear real fast.
Yeah, doing the exact same thing. Fun fact, though, the actors of Spanky and Alfalfa actually wanted to learn the choreography, and they told them no. They
That
said, "We just want you to goof off."
I had that fun fact written down. I love that so much. They're like, we want to learn it, and they're like, no.
Adorable. They're just adorable children. All right, what's your next one?
I only had my 4, and I go all the way to the final race. So do you have anything for that?
I have the talent show in.
Oh,
And that like kind of fair that they go to beforehand, and they try and raise money for their clubhouse, where Stymie and Spanky out front saying, "Hey, people, we need your money.
yeah.
We got a great show. We got a great show." I I
A
love Stymie,
4-foot man eating chicken, and it's just one of the kids with a fake beard eating chicken wings.
and I love it. I laughed so hard whenever they showed that. Like, it got me now.
Yeah.
I'm 37 years old. I'm laughing at this 4-foot man eating chicken.
We
It's so
need
funny.
money.
And then that leads into the talent show where we get to see Waldo and Darla perform a duet that was supposed to be a duet, but Waldo sings the entire song.
That's, I think, that's the point, right? To show how selfish and self-centered Waldo is. He is not the right man for Darla.
I hated that kid, and yes, I know my name is Waldo Aloysius Johnson III, and I'm a blonde with glasses and everything. I hated that kid, but only the reason I hated that kid was because of him in Full House. He was like a villain in Full House to Michelle, and he took her part in the school play. He sang Yankee Doodle Dandy. Pissed me right off.
Pissed me right off. Well,
Now,
they were in this movie together.
mhm. And I think they were also in an episode of, because he was in a couple episodes of Full House. They were in school together, but there was an episode where they had a race just like this one. They had like a soapbox derby race thing. So very similar. And I think it aired like 3 months before this movie came out. So
He always reminded me of Minkus.
yeah, he is very Minkus, but like too cool. Like I like Minkus because he's a nerd, and Waldo just feels skeezy.
Yeah, it's the like I think as a kid I thought they might have been the same person.
Yeah, just like every kid
Similar
with
look.
glasses. Yeah, it's just yeah. I look just like all of them. Like this is a version of Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Like it's just another blonde kid with glasses. Oh, okay. That kid released a cheesy pop album like a decade later, worth a listen.
I'm in.
So be on the lookout for that one. If you've seen this guy now in his 30s, all of these children just stuck with the face that they had. They did not age into a new face or anything. They all have the exact same face that they had before. It's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. Good for them.
Good for
And
them.
I don't think any of them are dead yet. I know that some had some run-ins with the law, but I think the R Gang, the original like Our Gang, all those actors, like I think those kids, and it was a pretty rough time. I mean, it's a rough time in Hollywood all the time, but uh, those kids were all like on amphetamines and all this, like what they did to Judy Garland and basically. So yeah, I know a lot of those kids got ruined from the Our Gang series,
Cool.
including the guy that played Alfalfa. He ended up getting murdered.
Oh my.
Yeah, over a dog.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good story. Read that. Read up. Everybody, go read up. um, yeah, no, I like that scene. This is also the scene where we get the $500 cash prize because Porky and Buckwheat come up with a great idea to just take people's money in front of a free talent show. Love that. And also, this is where Waldo gives Alfalfa uh, the soap in his water, and you get to see the bubbles and everything, which is kind of a funny. It's a funny bit,
Mm-hmm.
especially when he farts a bubble as he's leaving. But their go kart gets stolen during the scene
Yes.
by Butch and Woim. And who leaves the keys to your prized possession go kart?
He was blinded by love.
This is so Spanky's right.
He's right and all at the end of this.
Yeah, Frankie's right. All right, let's go to the race then.
So yeah, they get to the race and we have Spanky and Alfalfa in car number 1 that they had to rebuild from scratch because theirs was stolen. You got Butch and Woim in car number 2 with the one that they stole, and they gave it a new paint job. And you get car number 3, which has Waldo and a mysterious second rider that we don't find out about till later. Which, as a child, that really I had no idea. Like I was
Big reveal.
yeah. And Alfalfa has Darla's handkerchief and ties it to the front of their car, and they, shenanigans happen, and they end up winning the race by a hair.
By Alfalfa's hair.
Yes.
I really like when they divert from the course and they go through that like supermarket and everybody is just getting hit and launched into the air, including an old man, which I laughed really hard at. Because I did a little bit of that yesterday when I was go-karting.
That is exactly what you're just art imitates life, I guess.
I guess so. I injured an old man yesterday while go-karting for everybody that wants to know.
He will never get over it. I'm telling you.
It was great. I have no remorse, and he deserved it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. But the boys win by hair. They get the prize. They meet AJ Ferguson, who's not a man.
No, it's Reba.
It's Reba.
AJ Ferguson.
And then they use that money to build their clubhouse back up, and they let women into their He-Man Women Haters Club.
I love that. He-Man Woman Haters Club, and then just a new sign underneath that just says women welcome.
For those women out there that are self-haters.
A pick-me, if you will.
It seems like everybody like coupled up immediately too.
Yeah, they're all kissing. There's a lot of kissing for 5-year-olds.
Oh, a lot of kissing. They're adults.
They're adults.
Except the one thing I want to point out at the end of this is everybody's coupled up. Even Froggy with his weirdness is coupled up, except for Porky and Buckwheat. There's a girl in between them, but I don't think that they like that girl at all.
No, I think they're the youngest. They're the young ones out of the group. So they're just like, we are allowed to tolerate now.
Very influenceable. It's very funny. Mm-hmm. Who do you think steals, or who's your favorite character? And then is there somebody that steals the show?
My favorite scene stealer is Buckwheat. I love him with everything in me. Not like this little like his voice goes up a lot. And he's like, "Nope, we don't." And I'm like, "He's so cute."
I love that little kid. I feel like he was in a bunch of other stuff too. When he was younger, he might have been in Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I got him confused with a little kid. That was Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Yeah, he was Nicky. He's in Independence Day too. He's Will Smith's kid in Independence Day. I remember that. He's also the voice of a puppy in Babe.
I think he's precious. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's pretty adorable. I like. Are they both your favorite character and your Seed Stealer?
Yes, not my best performance, but he is my favorite character in Scene Stealer.
I think Spanky is my favorite character.
Mhm.
I just like him. I think he's like in the same sense. Like I think he's adorable. I think what comes out of his mouth is funny every time he says it. That southern accent gets me. I do think that Porky and Buckwheat are big scene stealers. Like just seeing those kids just singing songs and dancing and being goofy, like hilarious. I don't know the way that Porky delivers some line, like that line when he says, "Like that's not saying that's kitty litter," is just so good and precise, and I think it's so funny. I love Porky. Porky's incredible.
They're the dynamic duo.
They are great. The gruesome twosome. All right, let's talk about since there's so many quotes from this movie. Let's go through some of your favorite quotes, our favorite quotes. People in the chat, please put in your favorite quotes. But yeah, what are some of your favorite quotes?
I do love when it's the Whoopi Goldberg cameo when Porky says, "Oh, look, your mom's here," and Buckwheat goes, "Whoopi."
Great.
As a kid, I don't think I recognized any of those adults as like famous people. Whoopi Goldberg was the only one I knew, and I was like, "Hey."
And it's fun getting that joke as a child too, because you're like, "That's Whoopi Goldberg. That's why they said Whoopi." Like, and saying that it's like your first like cinephile nerd knowledge thing, but you're a child.
Yes, I fully agree.
What else?
My favorite, there's two, I have a couple, but Waldo, when they first meet Waldo, he like sees Darla and he's taken by her and he says, "You have the sophistication of a woman of 12." And I'm like, it gets me. I forgot about that line and I lost it. I was like alone in my apartment cackling.
Yeah, because they're just adults. These are little adults saying silly things like that. I like in that scene though where Waldo says, you know, his family just moved to town and his father bought the oil refinery, and Darla says that explains why you're so refined, and Alfalfa says, "Yeah, and so oily."
I love it. It's so good.
They're so cute. Give me another one.
Another one that I forgot about, and someone just put it in the chat, said when Alfalfa is running from the bullies and he runs right into him and he goes, and he's like, "I think I'm getting away," and then he runs right into him. He goes, and then the clouds opened up and God said, "I hate you, Alfalfa."
He's got a little southern accent too when he says things. It's
They all do.
adorable.
A little bit.
I like this scene. I always thought this scene was very funny when they walk in to the bank as two Amish gentlemen, you know, three kids in a trench coat kind of thing. And Mel Brooks's character finds them out and he says, "If you were my kids, I'd punish you." And Stymie says, "If we were your kids, we'd punish ourselves."
So sassy.
I love Stymie. He's great.
Great. Not enough credit to Stymie.
We need another Stymie movie.
Yes. I have my favorite is the love note, hate note that Alfalfa sends to Darla, which is where my namesake comes from. As, "Dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts. You make me vomit. You're scum between my toes. Love, Alfalfa." That's the one I quote a lot. Is like, "I hate your stinking guts."
And we remember it. It's like I'm sure everybody in this chat knew exactly that entire line, the whole hate note. Everybody does. Somebody just asked, is Stymie the kid that was also in court or Kindergarten Cop? I don't think so. I just looked him up. His name is Kevin Jamal Woods. He's not the same kid. So sorry to bust that bubble. He's also in Babe as a voice of one of the puppies.
A lot of crossover.
A lot of crossover. Got a big Babe family here. Um, every time that Buckwheat sings something, my favorite one, we've already, did we do the dollar one?
No, we haven't.
No. But we're going to the race. We're gonna win first place, and you have an ugly face. And
No,
then
you have an ugly face.
your mother has an ugly face. But any interaction with Buckwheat and Porky, the pickle for a nickel. How about 2 cents?
About 2 cents.
They're just having such a bro conversation. I hate pickles. I love them. They're just two bros hanging out.
Even when Buckwheat recites the hate note to Darla because he can't read and the note got destroyed, like he even says the beats. He's like, "You make me vomit."
Stymie has some wise words in this movie. He says, "You only meet your once in a lifetime friends, once in a lifetime."
Mm-hmm. At one point, when Alfalfa realizes that Spanky is the one who destroyed his candlelit lunch with Darla, and he finally runs into him, he says, "You Benedict Arnold, you Judas Priest." He's like so angry. And I'm like, I don't think a 5-year-old knows who Benedict Arnold is.
Well, and a Judas Priest is so funny because it's a band name. It's not even
Yes.
Judas Iscariot. Alfalfa, the first time he runs into Butch and William is he says, when they say, "When's the last time we beat you up?" He says, "Well, let's see. Today's the 10th. 30 days, half September, April, June, and November. It's not a leap year. Yesterday, you're due." Like he gets beat up every day by Butch.
Crazy.
Love those kids. Pig Pucky.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? Let's see.
I tried to reel it in.
I like Alfalfa whenever he's trying to hide Darla. He says, "I'm not ashamed of you. I'm proud of you. I just don't want anyone to see you." And let's see. We already said a couple of them. Oh, Reba giving a line saying, "Is that just is that a cow lick, or are you just happy to see me?"
Yeah, a lot of inappropriate jokes about Alfalfa's hair, but
Ping.
yeah.
I also like somebody had mentioned earlier in the chat when AJ Ferguson gives Spanky a kiss on the cheek. He says, "Say, why don't you even up things and give me another one on the other cheek?" Love that.
Yes.
Classic.
There's one that you haven't said yet that I've been waiting for you to say about the sleepover.
Oh yeah, which I saved because I think it's my biggest laugh.
Okay.
So let's move into, because I don't have any others. Let's move into our biggest laugh. I'll let you go first.
I did say the entire ballet scene, or specifically them performing. Again, there's always a Spanky. There's always a little girl on the side in her tutu just shaking. And that made me, I was dying. The sophistication of a woman of 12 was my favorite line. I also did like the 3 kids in a trench coat. It's like, why don't you sit down? Thank you. It's like, good man. And then like Froggy comes out. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "We can't sit, good man."
My good man. What's your account number? 7? Try 8. 8? Classic. No, the scene that we were talking about earlier is the back and forth scene between the girls' sleepover and the boys' sleepover, and they're explaining why they hate boys and why they hate girls. And the Olsen twins say they like to moon ya, and Buckwheat said, "No, we don't." And I love that line every time. That kid is probably the cutest kid ever.
Yes.
I also had the ballet scene as well.
Mm-hmm. It's really cute.
Biggest laugh for me is the lightning bit when they all scream their heads off, then never acknowledge it. Yes, it's so funny.
And it gets cut off so fast. Like they
Hmm.
don't even like finish the scream. It almost just sounds like they just cut the sound.
And every kid looks at the camera too. They're all looking dead on at the camera. Um, what's the most ridiculous moment for you?
Oh, what did I wear? Oh, I had two. One is Froggy's voice. Like just this idea that this tiny child sounds like he's smoked 30 packs a day for 30 years.
You saw the house that Froggy was coming out of.
It was yeah, it was like just the gravelly voice is very funny in the child. And I also said, seeing Trump in movies, I understand that that's the man isn't a performer, but it is always jarring to see him in a movie knowing what we know now.
And it's such a Trump thing too, you're the best son that money can buy. Like, and him in the blooper scenes afterwards too, when he's just like, "That's not good popcorn." He's just like, "That's not very good popcorn."
He's just playing himself.
Yeah, he is just himself in there. I said the alfalfa nude swimming scene is probably the most shocking, ridiculous thing, because another like very adult thing is like Darla and Waldo just sitting there in like the hot tub with their cocktails, laughing at this nude child that just came out of the pool. That's a side of you I've never seen before, Alfalfa.
Sass, just the sass.
She's incredible. Her in her little dress when they're doing the duet and
Yeah,
like her little dancing is
I
amazing.
loved that dress as a kid. I like remember being like, I want that.
It's incredible. Yeah, yes. So the voice, somebody in chat asked if the voice of Froggy was E.G. Daily from Pee Wee and Tommy from Rugrats. Yeah, she was great. Let's see here. Best music moment. This kind of goes into what we were just talking about. So
I would say I have Alfalfa singing "You Are So Beautiful," because I have an excellent Alfalfa impression, and I do not need to do it here because it's a lot. But I just love him. He's just whole chest belting. You are. He like touches her face. She's just sitting there with, her little parasol, and I'm like, ugh. No one ever sings to me with my parasol in a canoe on the river.
wow, wow. um, yeah. So we have "You Are So Beautiful." We've got Love performed by Waldo, and Bug Hall or Alfalfa performing "The Air That I Breathe" with the bubbles. This movie had like a couple other choice songs in here. Like there's a Randy Newman song in here when they're trying to get lumber at the yard. That's a fun. It's called "Short People." I do recommend if you did not have the subtitles on for that song. It is the lyrics are quite great. There's also like a Roseanne Cash song in here called "Love Has No Pride," and it's the sad song when Spanky and Alfalfa aren't talking to one another. It's great. We are skipping over our usual next two categories, talking about FMK or recasting because I don't know any children. Look, I mean, you could throw any cameos in there that you want, and they would all be cameos. That's exactly what they would be. So we're going to move on to who do you think gave the best performance?
I think Alfalfa. Alfalfa is. I mean, he's our. Obviously, there's like we said, we focused on the main 12. It is between him and Spanky and Darla as like our main characters, but Alfalfa is the star of the show, and like delivers his lines in such a great way. He probably has the most lines out of all the kids. He's got great like physical comedy. He's just very adorable. He does it all. Like he's the happy, the sad, the romantic, the wiggle ears. I'm like, he killed it.
Yeah. No, Bug hit in the actor's name, Bug Hall. That's who I had too. Uh, he was the best of the children actors by far.
Oh yeah, I mean, Darla's a bad actress. I mean, I think she was younger than a lot of those boys. But like, and you see it in the bloopers later, and it's another like one of my favorite moments where like, Brittany, stop looking at the camera.
Yeah, she was a couple years. I feel like a couple years younger than them. Probably four. I think she was 4 years old when she was in this. 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, when she was in this, I think everybody else was like five, at least 6 or 7. Um, yeah, Darla was something adorable though.
Oh, so cute.
I love her little lisp. Um, let's see here. Fun facts that you looked up about our movie.
I just had a handful. Um, we already said during the ballet scene that the Spanky and Alfalfa actually wanted to learn the choreography, which I loved. So the boy who played Buckwheat, his name was Wesley, I believe. Or no, it's not. Just kidding. I don't know. I think I'm looking at my notes, and I think something got auto-corrected. Anyway, so they just did the I don't know if it was the 20-year reunion or 25-year reunion, but the boy who played Buckwheat confirmed that "I Got a Dollar" was improvised, which makes my heart so happy.
A lot of talent there.
Like for a little, I mean, obviously, like children improv all the time and make up songs, but like "I Got a Dollar" is so iconic and it's good.
And again, another thing that everybody that has ever watched this movie as a child remembers all the lyrics too. I've got a dollar. I mean, it's not hard, but
yes, but it's the who's got a dollar? We got a dollar. We got a dollar. Hey,
hey. What else you got?
So Reba makes the cameo playing the pro racer AJ Ferguson. In real life, Reba's son Shelby races professionally.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I didn't know that, but that was it. That's all I got. What do you got?
I did like this, that Penelope Spheris would hug each child before they started filming to ensure closeness and trust in the group. Like that's how she was like cool with the kids and everything. I thought that was kind of neat. Also, I set this up at the beginning by saying it feels like a lot of little sketches or things that we see, like, and that's because a lot of the plots and like the setups and stuff were from the original Our Gang short series. So like them as firefighters was a part of it, building a go-kart, knocking over pedestrians, those are all part, the ballet, the bubble song, those are all things that come from the original series that we were talking about. Buckwheat and Porky catching each other's hooks underwater. That was another thing that was taken from the original. So a lot of homage paid to the Our Gang shorts in this movie that, of course, not normal people wouldn't know unless they were big fans of this. Let's see. The other thing that I had, let's see. Besides the "We Got a Dollar" thing, two of the children that were in this, the guy that plays voiced Gus Griswold from Recess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then the kid that plays Waldo voiced another character on Recess called Menlo. And with their voices, I'm like, oh, I remember their voice. I remember Gus especially, and I'm like, oh yeah, that kid. So.
Nice.
Anything else? Anybody in the chat have anything they want to say? Please put that out there. But
I did just remember another quote that I forgot about when you mentioned the fire scene when they send Buckwheat and Porky to go call the fire department, and they get to the phone, and first of all they're waiting in line for the phone forever, and then they get to the payphone, and Buckwheat picks up the phone and goes, "Quick, what's the number for 911?" And Porky goes, "How should I know?" And they walk away, and they're walking past the fire department.
Incredible. If you could choose any movie to pair this movie with, just like a glass of wine with your dinner, what would you wear? What would you pair it with?
Like week 3 in a row that you've tripped over that.
I need to rewrite it. I'm reading it terribly.
Like a fine wine and dish. That's what you said.
Like a fine glass of wine with dinner. If you could pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, what would it be?
I didn't have too many. Sometimes I have a gazillion. So the only one that really stuck out to me was The Sandlot. Just a group of kids. Is that what you're playing in the background?
Yep.
I said just a group of kids during the summer having a fun time, getting into some shenanigans, going to a festival, and just all of it. Even the stymie with his little bowler cap, playing baseball in the beginning, catching it with his hat. It was cute. And the other one, which is not appropriate, but it's Some Like It Hot, solely because of the little boys dressed in their ballet outfits. It's just like two boys dressed up as women to talk to girls and be silly.
I love that. I also had The Sandlot down, and I figured that you would as well, and that's why I had it going in the background. This is a bad movie that I'm gonna say. I remember it from my childhood, and I don't know if anybody else has ever seen this movie, but it's very Little Rascals coded. It even has Spanky in it as one of the characters, but it's called Slappy and the Stinkers, and it's about these kids that steal a seal, and they have to hide them from their headmaster, played by B.D. Wong. Very young Jennifer Coolidge is in this movie too. It's
a seal, like a seal.
Yeah.
Casual.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Great.
And then I picked The Big Green too, but that's mostly because Bug Hall is in that movie as one of the characters. So, yeah. So I'm not. Somebody mentioned the 2014 sequel. I said I was not going to watch that movie. But yeah, The Big Green, about a soccer team, a bunch of losers. It's great. Definitely go see that.
Bunch of losers.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to rewatch this movie?
5.
5 stars. I love it.
I've already seen it so many times. I am into seeing it so many more. Like, let's go.
I said 4. I was like, I could probably watch this over. It's an hour and 22 minutes. It's so quick. And yeah, I could put it on in the background. I said 4 just because. So.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, for those who are listening, I have a very small DVD collection, and in the year of our Lord 2024, still watch DVDs, and I only own DVDs, and I only buy physical media that I will have forever. And like, if it's not a 4 or 5 star and above, I'm not buying it. So the fact that I bought The Little Rascals on DVD means I would watch it over and over again.
I love that. Protect physical media. That's what you're really doing. Protecting physical media, not succumbing to the streamers out there as we stream. If you could rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rate it overall?
I gave it a 4. Is it like the best movie I've ever seen? No. Like, I wasn't going to give it a 5 star, but it does have a lot of nostalgia for me. I think the kids are precious. It is so quotable. I love a quotable movie. Like, I love to pull things out of nowhere. just to reference things. I think it's fun. I think it's so much fun. And so I gave it 4 stars.
I think this is like the most harmless movie of all time. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so like comparing the two movies that we just watched, the Flintstones and this movie, like, yeah, the Flintstones had better actors, and I don't know if it had a better plot or anything, but I would rather watch this movie over and over and over again because it's way more fun, it's more innocent, and it's still like funny to me as, a 30-something. Like, I think this movie is still way funnier than the Flintstones is. And maybe that's because it's like children playing little adults is funnier to me than like the Stone Age era puns and jokes that we got from the Flintstones. But yeah, I think I liked this movie a lot more, and I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah, I did not like the Flintstones. That was like, because it's funny because we're almost saying what you said last week, and I think we talked about this as well, that the Flintstones felt like multiple sketches, or it just was like one really long sketch, and as opposed to, and then we're saying, Little Rascals, it is, and it really literally was a bunch of little sketches stitched together to make one big plot. Like you said, like the fire department and the ballet, like, but maybe it is because it's children. Maybe it is because our main character isn't hateable. Like the Little Rascals did it so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I would never compare these movies other than why just now because we just watched them back to back, and they're both children's movies. And the
And
Flintstones did so well in 1994 that like it's hard not to talk about. But yeah, I just
what
the
also, like, it kind of plays to the what the critics said. Like you said, they gave it like really low ratings, and I'm like, I would not say that the Flintstones is a children's movie. I'd say the Flintstones, like watching it, I'm like, there's a lot of things here that, like, what, I don't know what I said last week. It's like an adult. It's a kids movie that has adult jokes in it, but it's actually an adult movie that just has kids jokes in it.
yeah.
Like it wasn't like, if I was watching that as a kid, I feel like I'd be bored. Like there's a lot of those jokes were high level. I don't understand why there was a sexual secretary in there for a children's movie. And like it was made for the nostalgia of the adults going to the theater who watched that as when they were children.
hmm
But
And it felt like it was such a big marketing movie too, especially with all the like the tie-ins, like the McDonald's tie-ins, and like when they became rich and famous. Like it just had too much of that stuff that I didn't really enjoy. I don't know. This one's so sweet and wholesome that
yeah,
there's no way you could knock it.
I agree.
Well, everybody else that's wrong that says that the Flintstones is good in the chat is wrong, and we'll move on from that. But just like this movie is only an hour and 22 minutes, this is a very, very short. This is going to be a very short one, but that's okay. I mean, I feel like we covered it really well.
Short movie, short pod.
Short pod. Thank you, Alyssa, as always, for doing this with me. Before we wrap up, let's hear if you have any movie recommendations or TV recommendations or books or anything out there that you've been experiencing that you want to tell everybody about.
Sure. I have not watched a lot of things, but I did watch Napoleon Dynamite for the first time maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm obsessed. That is my entire personality now. I can't believe I am 20 years late to that movie. I was like, I want something that's just brain rot, and I got something that was brain rot, and I loved it. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't watched it in a while, highly recommend. Talk about quotable movie.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would like recommend movie watching. I just finished a book that you lent me called The Great Alone. And if anyone's looking for a fall, I won't call it a cozy read, but it's about a family, specifically from the point of view of their teenage daughter, roughing it in the boonies of Alaska and living off the land and dealing with growing up in that space and having a not so functional family situation and growing up like that. And it was very good. Very like not kind of a drama, but I really like that book. Highly recommend The Great Alone. And I've also been listening to a lot of Sabrina Carpenter. I am a pop girly. I love pop music. I love listening to an album the whole way through because I feel like all the songs play together and tell a story sometimes in a way that, yeah, listening to an individual song is great, of course, but I always like to see, how does the entire album play out? And that one's a kind of like a no skips. It has a lot of really, if you're into pop music, Sabrina Carpenter is very funny, does not take anything seriously, and it's a very good pop album. And John Bell, if anyone's a John Bellion fan, he's coming out with new music after 6 years, and your girl is hyped. So.
And I will mention just for you because Golden Bachelorette.
Oh my God, amazing! I know that nobody in your audience will take any of these recommendations, but The golden the I hate watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I find them to be infuriating, and I yet have to see every single episode. The Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette is so wholesome, so fun. You just have a bunch of folks in their 60s do having a second chance at love after, and everybody is such a character. They even made a "I think you should leave" reference last episode, saying I think Jack's just here for the cannonballs. It was great. They are great people. The Asian man Charles. Charles is America's sweetheart at this moment. He moved on to the next week. They're only on episode 2, so Charles is back for next week, and we love him.
See, we've got fans. Somebody new in the chat.
Love that.
I'm just here for the zip line. Exactly. That's great. No, I love that. Those are all good recommendations. I know some of those. I've been listening to Sabrina Carpenter now because of you, so been enjoying that and her extra, just being her being extra is a lot. We love Sabrina Carpenter. Uh, Loved her from Girl Meets World. She's Maya. We love Maya. I've got a friend that watched that with me, so it was a weird time in my life. Anyway, thank you, Alyssa, for doing this. I've tried to keep up with my movies. I have kind of stumbled into a year where I've been trying to watch a movie a day, or at least keep up with that. I've watched a lot of movies in the last week. I did finally watch some new movies, though. From 2024 this weekend, and if anybody wants to discuss them with me, I am more than willing to do so. I know that I think Joseph had watched the movie The Substance, and that was one of his recommendations to me. And I watched The Substance and would highly recommend it for anybody that is a fan of like body horror stuff. It has a pretty on the nose satire about women and aging, and them kind of being disposed of, and like what the beauty industry looks like. So a lot of stuff on that. It is really fun and original. It's like a Black Mirror episode, but longer and crazier. So I do recommend that. And then I want everybody to watch Megalopolis, because I need people to discuss this movie with, because I don't know if I liked it or not, and I don't think I hated it, but I think I did hate it, but I think I loved it too. It's insane.
Maybe you liked the concept, but the execution wasn't quite there.
I mean, it is just like a 80-year-old man's passion project that he's tried to get off the ground for the last 40 years, and he finally got it out there, and his vision is out there, and it's just so fascinating. So I do, please everybody go watch that, and we'll just have a Megalopolis pod instead. So yeah, Francis Ford Coppola's grand opus, and it was something. This is the man that might have created the greatest movie of all time with The Godfather, and I don't know if he did it again with this movie, but who knows? 40 years from now, people might be talking about Megalopolis like it's the greatest thing ever. Who knows? All right, now I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping before I let you all go. Extra credit every month. If you were able to join us, we have a bonus stream, and this month's bonus stream during the month of October is going to be Game Over Man. Usually we're watching about 4 or 5 movies. This month, we're only talking about 2 movies, and that is Double Dragon and Street Fighter. So please do come hang out with us. That'll be at the end of the month. I'll keep reminding everybody, and I'll put out when we're actually going to be doing that on a little bit closer to the date. I'll probably post something on Instagram like I do every week. That's usually where I post. Instagram's usually where I post when and where things are going to happen. So if you want to keep up with those, check out the Instagram. Of course, you can get all this other information by joining Discord server as well, and you are welcome to follow us on Instagram. Check out my account on Letterboxd. All those links are available here on Twitch, so do check those out. Next month, it's spooky month. It's October. We're going to be talking about spooky movies, and next week we're going to be covering a movie called Wolf, directed by Mike Nichols, and starring Jack Nicholson. It is streaming on VOD, so we'll have to purchase that one if we're going to watch that one. But do check that out. And yes, you in the back.
Can I watch Wolf?
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
I can look up information on Wolf. So we'll see. But it might be a good break for you as we move into this. But we're going to be doing scary movies this month. And I'll also be watching a ton of scary movies. Maybe not so scary. I'm going to try and not watch as many spooky things. I'm going to try and watch more family-friendly spooky things this month. As a challenge to myself. Yeah, also because of Alyssa. So thank you, everybody. Please join us in the Discord server if you want to talk more. But thank you all for tuning in this week. Thank you all for any subscriptions or follows or anything that you gave this week or month or any of that thing. So thank you. It's greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate everything that anybody does for me. So we'll see you next time, next Sunday on 52/1994.